think you should.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We're on part B. It will be a lot more jovial, I promise. I don't know what it is with part A sometimes. That seems to be the one that drops the ball. I think.
Well, it's mainly because we generally do brand new stories, which seem to be more often than not dropping the ball, or because recently it's been pretty terrible. Actually, it's kind of sad. Well, it's because we had class.
Oh my god, class.
Ooh.
I'm so glad they got cancelled, man. Like, actually so glad.
Yeah, so there's that. And Tom Baker's run recently has been a bit weird.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's due to the whole him being angry at the entire production team. Because it's got something to do.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. But thankfully with part B, we're onto some pretty kick-ass stuff. So we're going to be kicking it off with the 8th Doctor story, Oblivion, continuing our trend to go through 26B in as chronological order as possible. And we're kicking off today with Oblivion, and just like, this story I love it. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this. What was your experience like, Harry Skeller? Did you?
I cried at the end.
Oh yeah. So did I actually. I fully cried. I was just like, this is the best ending. So the Doctor is on his mission to restore Izzy back to her original form.
Well,
Fade,
he's just a finder, really.
Yeah. Fade is a badass. Destry's she's a bit of a dick, but she's a badass. And we find out that in their society, the higher ups are all animal hybrids, and we'll find out why later on. But just keep that in mind, that the higher up royal family they're animal hybrids, and these two entities that were with they kidnapped Izzy. What were they called? Hannah and something.
Not Hannah.
Was it not Hannah? I thought it started with H. It was some.
It does totally start with H, but Hannah.
It's the first name that came to my head, right? Anyway, these two super beings, they work for Destry's mum.
Hannah and Harold. That's the names now. That's the names now. Canon. Hannah and Harold.
Yeah, Hannah and Harold. That's the canon names. So those two, they're working for Destry's mum. They found what they thought to be Destry. It's actually Izzy inside Destry's body. And the Doctor is not taking anybody's crud. He wasn't taking anybody's crud last week. He's certainly not taking it this week. Destry inside Izzy's body decides to try and like kick the Doctor's ass, but the Doctor beats the crap out of her. And he's like, I'm not in the mood, bro. And she's just like, oh.
That was the greatest thing.
Yeah, I love how she tries to kick his ass. She's like, when did you learn that? He's like, Venus. And he's actually not lying. He learned that on Venus.
Karate.
And I was like, that's so great. Like, I really, I hope one day they cast like a really muscly dude as the Doctor, and then we can have some Venusian karate, because like that'd be great. But
it doesn't have to be muscly. It just needs to be, it just needs to actually like act the part.
Yeah. Yes. But anyway, so the Doctor's not taking anybody's crud, but she manages to, because right now she looks like a person, like a normal everyday person. She says, hey, look, this guy, he's from the castle. And so the normal everyday folks, they all hate the royal family except for Destry. Destry is the only one that they look up to. But Destry hates them in return. It's real interesting. So they love her, but she hates them. And so they decide,
with a passion.
Yeah, with a passion. She proper hates them. I love when that old lady's like, this is the doll I made about Destry. And she's like, oh, I hate you. Like,
you guys suck. You're pathetic. I hate you.
I hate everything about you. Why do you think I like your super doll, you old lady? And the old lady's like smiling because she doesn't know what Destry's thinking. And like, I love that panel because she's like got the broadest smile on her face. She's happy as Larry. But Destry's like thinking in her head, like, I actually want to skin you alive. Like, it's so great. But yeah, Destry manages to get away from the Doctor. The Doctor bumps into Destry's uncle, who's this cool cat magician man.
That's great. It's even better considering like he's got like this like real Doctor thing going on with him, and the fact that that he's a cat as well with 9 lights.
Exactly. And I love that he's wearing like old school clothes as well, because he reminds me a lot of the Cat Returns from Studio Ghibli. I really enjoyed that. And I was like, this is cool. He's got like the cool magician powers, because his magician powers come from like tech he's built. So he's built like real cool tech, and it's all like Victorian era looking as well. I really like that. Like his time machine looks like something from Jules Verne's novels. He's been building a time machine. Yeah, and he was the one that built, who managed to get Destry off the planet, because it turns out you can't actually leave. There's like a barrier around Oblivion that stops you from getting out. And the Doctor finds out pretty quickly that Destry's body is supposed to be getting married to this ugly ass dude. Like, I know, like, I shouldn't say that, but like they draw this guy and he's butt ugly, so I'm sorry.
They did that for that reason.
And there's this lady that really doesn't like Destry, who comes at Destry, and like Izzy's like real scared because she's inside Destry's body. She's like, what do I do? And then she sees Izzy, who's actually Destry. And she's like, you bitch! And she actually says bitch in the panel. I love that.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill you!
Yeah, she starts kicking the shit out of her. It's so great. I'm just like, holy crap! She flies off the handle. And like, the Destry's mum is like, this is kind of awesome. I want to watch this. And so the Doctor then turns up with Destry's uncle. And he's all like, hey, look, this is the uncle. And the like Harry and Harold.
No, it's Helios and Hasana.
Oh, okay, Helios and Hasana. Thank you, Helios and Hasana. Harry and Harold. Helios and Hasana. They with their superpowers realize that that Destry and Izzy are in the wrong bodies, and they go and swap it over. And
that's because Faye told.
Yeah, because Fade's awesome. Oh, and also they like Fade nearly gets her ass handed to her, and then Shay's like, we need to like bail, so they run away from a fight with them earlier on. But it's real cool because like they're like, hey Fade, what's going on? And Fade's like, hey, look, these are people in the wrong bodies. And as they switch, they actually see their whole lives. And I absolutely love the flashback for Izzy, just like finding out why she's so nerdy. Yeah. It's just because like she actually hated her life.
It's because her parents told her at like totally the wrong time that she was adopted.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going through puberty, which is like the worst time for me in a mental capacity. Oh, I'm adopted? That's great.
Great. I feel like nothing, like my entire life is a lie. Yeah. Awesome.
This is great. I'm going through puberty right now, which is one of the worst times in my entire mental life. Thanks, guys. And so she like becomes a recluse, and just that panel of her watching Next Generation.
Yes, solid gold.
I really like that. And so it's just like that as well, and like showing that Destry's life sucked as well. And her uncle was the reason. And so Izzy and Destry both watched like old school science. They both watched Star Trek Enterprise as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Next Generation. But they all watched all this nerdy. Well, I suppose you could call it nerdy stuff, but like, you know, pop culture. They watched a whole bunch of pop culture stuff because they were trying to escape from their life, you know, in a fictional sense. And Destry's uncle gave her an out in a physical sense and managed to send her out. And Destry's uncle has been playing the long game because he's been setting up to travel with Destry because he genuinely loves his niece. Like, he thinks she's cool, she thinks he's cool. He's like, cool, we should travel the universe together. But she was pretty much the time travel guinea pig, and that's how she managed to get off the planet. And she was traveling around, how she ended up in Ouroboros. And the good thing is there's a huge time gap there, so you can fill that with stuff. Like, what she did before she ended up inside Ophidius, the giant Sylphner the Sky Dragon. And I watched the new Dragon Ball Z Abridged today, actually, and Sylphner the Sky Dragon's in it. I was just like, totally Ophidius is talking to the Sky Dragon.
Yeah, yes.
So they end up getting their bodies back, and Destry kills her mum. And, like, pretty brutally kills her mum.
Yeah.
Now, Destry felt great about it, and her mum's kind of not the nicest person, but I definitely didn't feel great about it.
I kind of felt great about it.
Yeah, I know. I kind of felt great about it as well, which is bad, because, like, you shouldn't feel great about someone getting straight up murdered. But,
like, after we've just seen, like...
Yeah, she's a horrible, horrible person, so, yeah.
She'd been, like, beating her child to no end.
Yeah, just because, like, the public loved her more. It's so messed up. But, so she ends up killing her, and the Oblivion, so these people, lose it. And the Doctor's like, what the hell are they? And so Destry's uncle explains that there was this virus they created, and they thought it was killing people, but it didn't kill them. It turned them into these almost gods. And the only thing that was keeping them in check is that they had got it in their heads that the matriarch was the person who was, like, pretty much their god, essentially. And so Destry had killed her, and they started losing their cool. But it turns out what had actually happened is they were free, and now they wanted to follow Destry instead. And so Destry's uncle gaps it, and the Doctor thinks that he's, like, leaving her to die, and he's, like, giving him, like, the 3rd degree. He's like, I can't believe this, and he's like, dude, you literally have no idea what I'm doing. And so he jumps up into the sky, and the Doctor's like, you're such a bad person, and then he saves Destry, and the Doctor's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of the bad person here.
I'm not, but you know.
You know. So Destry's uncle actually saves her, and it's real cool. I love that panel, like, where he's holding her, and he's all like, it's okay now, let's go have cool adventures in space. And she's like, that's awesome. So they go off and have cool adventures in space. Fade is like, let's just go.
It's a way better spin-off than that thing that's happening.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I would love Big Finish with them, like a cat and or like even an animated series. Not that BBC's real big on animation for some reason, even though it's a huge money maker if you do a decent animated series. Especially the new revival that Cartoon Network's having at the moment. Believe you me, they are making cash money from that.
Oh, Samurai Jack's coming back!
Yeah, I'm so keen. I can't wait. It's going to be great. So with that, Faye says to Izzy, they open up to each other, and it turns out that Faye and Izzy have a thing together.
They totally have a thing together.
Yeah, they totally have a thing together. And it was made quite apparent when she first met Faye as well, when they're in the chateau with the gorilla virus, and so they have a thing together. They kiss, which would have been a real big thing back then as well. But it was cool that Marvel Comics was doing this as well. So it was like really cool seeing that show up with Izzy coming out as, you know, being gay, and I thought that was real cool. And I really loved that, and I was like, oh, that's nice, man. And I like Faye, so they should totally, now that it's like legal in Britain, go get married.
Totally have each other's adopted babies.
Yeah, exactly. I would love that. Like, she can come to Britain and be like, hey, I just killed some Nazis, and now I'm in modern day times. Let's go hang out and adopt some kids and have a cool life together. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And
especially having shade powers. Well.
Yeah. Yes. Having shade powers.
Now that's an even better spin-off. Come on, there's all the spin-off material.
And
what are you guys doing?
Izzy has a bad day at work, and then Faye's like, what's his name? She's like, no, don't go use your superpowers and make his life terrible. I wasn't going to do that. Turns into a shadow and starts beating the shit out of him. You leave my wife alone, you son of a bitch. I'm so sorry.
See, there's a way better superhero.
Yeah, man.
Just right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Fade and the Ghost together, that'd be cool.
Yes.
But yes, so that's then it ends with Izzy deciding to head back home, and she's all like, "How do I explain I've been away?" And then the Doctor,
like lol.
He's like, "Lol." It's a time machine. So he goes to just before they leave, and she's like, "Well, that's us." He's like, "Can you keep it down? Because I really, really don't want to have a paradox right now."
Yeah, I really don't need that. Like, do it that later.
Yeah. He desperately doesn't want a paradox. He's like, no, not Father's Day, please. That's too early. There's 2 incarnations too early.
Like, I don't need that. That's really not nice. That is a terrible episode.
And so he ends up leaving her where they had been, and it's really great because I love that the he's doing something that you would later see the 11th Doctor do, and like 10 and that, trying to carry on after like a bad situation. And so Izzy goes home, and she says to her mum, her mum's like put the kettle on, and it's like, oh, how was your day? And she's like, I caught a ride and met some new people, and it's
made a new friend.
Yeah, and it's just this like amazing collage of all the people that she's met on her adventures, and that hit me. That was real good, and
I cried.
Yeah, and I was. Man, they really did get me, and I was just like, I can't believe having this experience, like, over a companion who's predominantly only on paper.
Yeah.
And it was such a weird experience because, like, it's something I put on our Facebook page before, is just like I've never had a feeling of loss when the companion goes. I haven't had that feeling, and it was just strange having like Izzy leave, and I felt it. I had a real kick in the teeth, and I was just like, this sucks. I hate it. And I finally now knew what people would have felt when Sarah Jane first ever left.
Yeah.
Because that was a big deal when she left at the end of Hand of Fear, and I now knew that feeling. And Izzy Sinclair, that's it. No. There's no more Izzy.
She's gone.
She's gone.
She's gone from the Doctor Who universe anyway.
Yeah.
But we could still have some sweet adventures.
Yeah, some sweet adventures.
Please, guys.
She solely needs to get married to Fade. It'd be great. Her wife is like a super, ultra, mega being. That'd be cool.
Her wife is actually literally 2 people.
Yeah, her wife. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that'd be so awesome.
I just see it now. Like, hey, put the mask on. Ew, no. What?
Yeah, she puts on Shade's helmet, eh? Like, it's like one of their nighttime things. You know, if it was for anybody else, I'd say no. Puts on the fishbowl helmet. That'd be so good. Oh man, I love it. But I thoroughly suggest this entire box set, Oblivion. It's so very good. We've only got 2 Doctor Who comics left for the 8th Doctor, and then we're back to we'll be doing audios after that. So we're in 2 more weeks worth of comics, and we're back to audios. We'll be doing some of the novels, but only the short trips because we have full-time jobs.
It's hard to read.
Yeah.
In a lot of time.
We have full-time ass jobs, so we need to we can only read the short trips. So we'll be having little snippets of the Doctor, and there's companions that are in Big Finish that are only in the short trip novels as well. So that's great. Thanks, Big Finish. Like, I love you. At the same time, I secretly hate how much canon you have. So much canon. So with that, we'll be carrying on to Time Tunnel,
which is a fantastic 3rd Doctor story.
Very much so.
Yes, voiced by Joe.
Yeah. Katie Manning.
I
love her impersonation of John.
She does the best impersonations of both John Pertwee and the Brigadier as well. Like, they are the greatest impersonations. She gets them to a T.
Yeah.
Like, she actually does. She pulls them off. Superb. It just sounds so weird having it come out of her mouth. It's great. So yeah, the story's it definitely plays in the short story, short trip way of the short trip template, where you get you don't really get much explanation as to where it is and how it goes down, but of course Benton and Yates are still around, which is nice to know. So it's happening around there sometime, and is after the demon event.
Yeah.
With because they mention they mention a story about a demon in a hole somewhere,
And Joe's like,
and-
you don't think kids, and he's like, no, it's not
no,
that.
it's not another demon. And like they even like state that like they even say something about it being the devil, and them being like, no, it can't be the real devil because he's already been awoken talking about that event.
Yeah.
And then I'm laughing to myself thinking, yeah, he's still on that planet, or he's still in Sutek's prison. So it's probably not that, which is just solid. But it just turns out that it is an alien that has an interesting thing going on with it, where it's like out of sync with everybody else.
Yeah.
Which I guess also plays into the to some other short trips that another short trip that we've had, where the first Doctor and Ian experience an entire civilization go by.
Oh yeah, in a single second, eh?
Yeah, well, very very quickly. Which is it's a sort of idea that it's an interesting idea that because of the way that time works, that other life can be outside of sync with us, which is basically how we see the entire universe. Really, is that anything that we see out in space is happening millions of years prior to when we're seeing it, because light isn't as fast as we want it to be, really.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to note that it's interesting to take that idea of things being millions of years behind to the idea that things could be like moving faster at a faster rate than our perception is. So because we're our perception of time is in that second by second sort of idea, that if an alien grows up or evolves on a planet or in a section of space that has a different temporal thing going on, such as it being in an intense gravity well or something like that, where its time is altered, then it would have to be able to cope with being outside of that realm. It would have to develop a way of making that time stream happen where it's at, because otherwise, as soon as it entered that time stream, it would feel the same effects that any other life form would feel, and just in reverse, like the way that the Doctor and Joe experience the elements, basically, where because time is basically being slowed down for them, they get a bit ill. But basically an entire train full of people live long enough to die of starvation.
Yeah, because they're in there for 6 months, right?
Yeah, they're basically going through a tunnel, a short tunnel, and it takes them 6 months to get through. Well, in our time it only takes them as long as the tunnel takes, but for them it took 6 months because time was slowed down for them so much that happened. And the Doctor even went in himself in a train and experienced the same thing, but is of course able to survive because he just goes into his self-induced coma.
Yeah. Which actually, that reminds me, we didn't bring that up in part A. The fourth Doctor went into the self-induced coma to try and heal against the fungus attack as well.
Yes, but wasn't able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not even talk about that. But yeah, the third Doctor is so it's an interesting concept that because this alien had this different time with it, that if it had moved within our own time space, it obviously would have had a similar effect, but in reverse, where everything, its time stream would have been sped up wherever it went. If it was in the same sync with us, then it would probably have a bit of problems with that, as everything would be moving too fast for it, that sort of stuff. So it's interesting that because of this, that entire race would have developed basically time manipulation in a short space, developed its own time manipulation technology just so that it could space travel. That's intense. Like, to think that is a possibility, that an alien such as that exists. And it's also interesting that we don't even know if that's how it works for us as well, that it's very possible that if we left our solar system, that the effects, that there could easily be a time delay between us and the rest of the universe that we don't know about because we can't detect it, because we don't exactly have chronometers or anything that the Doctor discussed.
Yeah, because there's also the idea that we age slower in space.
Well, it's simple that there's no gravity. There's a different level of gravity. So when you're further away from the part of the gravity well, that you would there is a time differential to that, like a few
because gravity
seconds.
bends time, right?
Yeah, because the time space is manipulated by gravity in the same way. So it's sort of like if you there's a bit of videos for this that explain this very well. Take a sheet, and then if you just like press in the middle of it, that dictates how gravity affects space. That things sort of just have to be pulled into them, but it also affects time in the same way, where it forces things to slow down, basically, or speed up. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I'm not a physicist, but it's So they've done tests.
I can speak the same language as my father-in-law. I could ask him. He's a physicist.
Yeah, they've done tests with atomic clocks that are based on how fast an atom oscillates, and they've tested that there is definitely a time difference between Earth on Earth, standing on the ground, compared to in space, because of gravity, basically. That the gravity well is causing time to move differently on Earth than it does in space. So it's very, very likely that the alien, in fact, that is in the story, has not only the ability to control time in the way that it does, but it's also figured out artificial gravity as well. So that's nice for them, because we still haven't figured. We need to figure that out at some point. if we want those cool, if we want spaceships, which is another. It's an interesting thing that a lot of sci-fi stories like to glean over, that fact that if they have artificial gravity, then they would probably in fact be able to control time and space. So that's interesting, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about Doctor Who.
We're not physicists, goddammit. We're Doctor Who enthusiasts.
So the story is really interesting, and if you like science, or even if you just like Doctor Who, it's great. And this basically what we keep saying about these short trips is that they are really good
and really short,
and mostly short. Yeah, like
mostly short.
These ones are a bit longer, but the earlier ones are definitely very short. But either way, you can get through them really quickly. I mean, this was half an hour, so on a lunch break, you could get through this very easily. And they're just nice bite-sized pieces of Doctor Who. Why not?
Yeah. So the great thing about these short trips is they are relatively inexpensive.
That's it.
So this episode time tunnel is $3 New Zealand, which is less than $1.50 American and less than 50p in the United Kingdom. So I mean, just pick it up, man. They're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
And you can get these digitally, which is the way I suggest everybody picks up their Big Finish, because there's so much Big Finish and you have to pay for shipping.
Oh, yeah.
Pick it up digitally. You can get it on your phone via the Big Finish app, and then you can carry around your Doctor Who library wherever you go. And whenever you need it, Doctor Who will be there.
Yes.
Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm glad you did as well. I was worried. I was just like, oh, maybe Harry Skelly might not like this one.
No, I love it. I love it when they mess around with those sort of science ideas, is like time streams and all that stuff, because that's the big thing that makes me like Doctor Who, is the idea of time travel. Like, I've always liked the idea of being able to travel in time, and the logistics behind it, basically the psychology and the ideas that come in with it, like alternate universes, all that stuff.
Yeah, man, I love alternate universes so much.
Yeah, so it's when Doctor Who actually like has some serious time stuff going on, then I'm like, yeah, this is the essence of Doctor Who, right?
The time essence.
So yeah, I love this story.
So did I. So again, you can pick this up on Big Finish. You can pick up the comic book that we talked about today via Amazon, via Comixology, or via your local bookstore in the box set Oblivion. I thoroughly suggest it. Izzy Sinclair is great. I'm a bit sad that there's no more Izzy. I'm actually really gutted about that. And it's interesting that she doesn't have any expanded material outside of the Big Finish audio drama. And she doesn't even have novels, which is really weird. That's really it. Apparently there is a short trip novel called Syntax that she's in, so I might give that a look. But other than that, that is all the Izzy we've got. Again, Comixology, Big Finish app, and you guys have yourself a lovely weekend.
See you next week.
Yeah, if I'm still alive. I'm not destroyed by bad Doctor Who episodes. Alrighty. Hopefully they're better next week. Catch you all later.